You're listening to The Grapevine. My name is Sanelisiwe and Zoey, aka Mama Gastering, aka Mama Action, aka The Black Current.
Hi, uzodidi Zoey, Mama Gazinande, former journalist, now turned media specialist, and unfortunately, I can't be smashed because I'm grand.
Girl, I can tell you've been crying and you're needing somebody to talk to. Listen.
You don't have to be crying.
You know,
don't be ashamed to say it hurt you.
I'm your girl.
You're my girl.
We
We're your girls. Don't you know that we'll love you?
Friend,
Oh, shame between
first of all, hello to everybody who's listening to us.
Sanibonani.
Hope that you've been good. Hope that Easter has been treating you well. Hey, Jonga, yeah, Peter Linda, Easter because long weekend he has risen. Zindoni, Jonga, Ibangu booked and busy.
And it's got us tired. It
And
still
it
has me
was a bit
exhausted.
dizzy.
Yeah.
So I hope that in the dizziness, you know, you are still stable and you found your stability. And that alles is alright by the huis.
Oh yeah, sometimes alles is alright, maar ons probeer. Ons
Okay,
kan maar net probeer.
I don't know what she said because Save the Line had subtitles and stuff. So I'm going to be like,
Well, you started with the Afrikaans and I just continued with it. But I think we're now going back to the hang of things. But it's going to be another long weekend soon. But things are okay. But I did want to remind our people that we are sponsored, Tina. Asizinje, we're not alone. 7 and 9th Studio. They're here to verify us, to validate us, to just give us that little bit of dignity.
they're like Twitter Blue, basically.
Yes, yes.
Of podcasting.
Yes, yes.
If you need a Twitter Blue stamp without the Twitter Blue ink,
Please,
7 and 9.
please contact them.
Thanks.
So
Listen,
wasithi kuyagowa kule periods besigowa nje
yes.
njembe bethelele emnqamlezweni siyagowa thina singomaria abalelayo.
Yes, you know what
my
I'm
friend.
saying. But the one thing I actually wanted to talk about, and this is a conversation that I've picked up amongst a group of friends, a group of people, and also because with this whole Dr. Nandipa and Thabo Bester scenario, you know, it's starting to pick up this thing of the danger of loneliness. And when this thing came up, I was like, what do you mean the danger of loneliness, you know? And it was like, you know, you find yourselves, especially as people who have been single for a very long time. I don't count.
You grab the
you.
first, the first available one that comes your
Yes,
way.
and then you see the red flags as pink flags.
But you say you're gonna take it.
But
I'm going to
still
change him.
It's all right.
I'm going to change him.
You know,
I will
he's going to
nyamazal.
change.
I'm going to nyamazal.
You know, and Tatazel.
You know, because this one is my person. Because
you know,
he came first.
My man is my man.
He came
Get a
first,
pleasure
and
for
there's
our
no
man.
one after.
Okay.
The thing is, there's no one after. There's no one before. But he came first.
So, you know, and this thing where you every single time, because I can say this, and for me personally, I've been single for a very long time. It's been over 3 years. How old is my son? My son is 5 to being 4. I've been single for, when my son turns 4, in fact, it will be 4 years, 4 or 5 years of me being single, because talking stages, yeah, they don't mean umjolo.
No, they're just talking stages.
So, and I've been feeling bouts of loneliness. So these bouts of loneliness is when I'm functioning fine, but then at a certain point, I feel like, it would be nice to have a partner.
I understand.
It would be nice to have somebody, you know. But because I'm so selective and in terms of who I bring into my space, it's no longer a thing of I would latch on to anybody that would show me attention at the time of my bout of loneliness. Now it's become a thing of I'd rather be lonely than deal with someone who's going to swindle me down the line, or deal with someone who's just there for whatever reason or whatever purpose, other than to build something together and for us to grow.
And how do you, and obviously it would take time for you to actually realize the person's intentions.
Yes.
Because that's another element of the dating and all that stuff that comes much later after the puppy love and stuff. So I do understand
My
where you're coming
biggest
from.
fear is the settling part. Because of being lonely, I am then going to settle for somebody who I know is not going to be on par with what it is that I require and what I need from a partner. So what we're finding is that even now with this whole Dr. Nanipa and Tabo Bester situation, people are saying she's settled because she's too educated.
Okay.
Others are saying she settled because she got a taste of the fast life and then she was like, ride or die, crime or not, in dim now, baby.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde type of vibes. Then you get outside of that scenario, you get us everyday people, I'm a single parent. I'm going to settle for someone who shows a little bit of 5-minute attention because I generally don't get that attention anywhere else, you know?
True.
Or I am a single parent and there's someone who is talking the good talk but has not actioned anything from the good talk. So no, I understand you're a single parent, blah, 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 blah. Those narratives and whatnot. So it's quite a very dangerous space because now this is when a lot of people actually introduce their children to these people without even knowing who they are.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree that with being single for a long period of time, there is that risk of loneliness. And once you get there, it's not loneliness because it's not loneliness to be in a relationship or have someone. I think it's just having someone to share things with and moments with. Because I've realized that when I was single, there were moments where something great would happen. And when something awesome happens, you realize you've got no one to share it with. And it becomes that thing where you're going to call your friend, but, man, it's not the same. You're going to tell your family, but it's not the same. You want that someone who's going to say, babe, you know what I mean? That response, because it's something that would be nice. And there's also someone you want where you don't want to, it's not necessarily you want to have conversations with friends, but you want to be held. And I think the physical element of a relationship is very important in one's life because you want that physical touch, that affirmation, that affection as well. And that is what drives us to loneliness because we've got friends, we've got family, we've got people who will distract us for those moments. But when you go to bed at night, it hits you.
Well,
when you go to bed at night and you're sleeping next to your daughter or your son and you're realizing that, you know what, this human being is growing old and I'm going to be alone.
Okay.
Or when the human being is maybe out at a sleepover, for example, and then you realize, like I suffered when she was away and I was like, oh my God, I feel so... I didn't know what to do with myself. But now I can only imagine for someone who doesn't have that for a long time, the desperation that goes with it.
That's my thing.
The desperation of having that person, it's someone to share moments with, someone to talk about absolutely nothing that makes sense. You know what I mean? Someone who will get you. And the thing that happens is some people who come into our lives without having good intentions, they learn us because we are open books. Because of our loneliness, we've learned to be we don't shield ourselves as much.
Yeah.
We are very open. We are carefree because we want to open ourselves to love or to the thought of having someone. Yet the intentions of the person coming in may not be pure. And because you're so open and loving and giving and kind, and you hear open arms, that person takes advantage of you, and then it goes into manipulation, it goes into abuse at times because you've wrapped yourself and you've wrapped your head around this one person because they gave you that 5 minutes of attention and they had the one up because they had the opportunity to learn you faster because you gave them the whole book instead of one chapter in one go. And yet they just gave you one page introduction. The epilogue. They gave you the epilogue.
I like the dedication page.
Exactly. And you are all about you giving them chapters and chapters on those first few dates. And they've only given you the epilogue. And you're giving them chapters is weaponizing them with things that they can use to lure you more in.
Exactly.
And how do you now backtrack and go back to, okay, Zotiti, we are catch.
I think the one thing for me, so I'm always like, don't just date. Don't worry about the number. The number's gonna make you dizzy. And I think that for me, that juggling act has allowed me to see, but I can't settle for this. I can't tolerate this. You're out. You know, going through a process of elimination, doing that whole survivor type of like. I know it sounds bad.
51st dates.
Oh, come on, you told me like I'm there. Like I'm just like Mamela. There were 6 of you in the beginning.
Now.
And slowly but surely we're decreasing.
Final
Now we're
process.
in the top 2, not 2. You know what I'm saying? And I think that for me has allowed me to see, but also a reflection on my previous relationships as well. It has opened my eyes a lot because I realized that the men that I unfortunately do attract also mimic my baby daddy quite a lot.
Yes, you'll go for the familiar.
And I was like, yeah. I remember this. No. This is too close to home. Girl, you know, the price is way too high. You need to cut it.
And you know what happens is, Chumi, it could be that they show you, like for us, I always say for single parents, they will always come into our lives and show us the love of kids.
Yeah.
You've got me hooked, line and sinker when you've got the love for a kid.
Exactly.
And then everything else, like I don't pay attention to any other red flag, any other thing, whether they don't have mannerisms or like communication, which is something big for me. But I will settle for someone who can't communicate as long as they love my kid. You know what I mean? That's our mind frame. And we always have this thing, no matter how successful you are, no matter how beautiful you are, no matter how confident you may think you are, our past traumas and past relationship and whatever that had happened in the past always dictates how we go into a new relationship. And whether we are going to go with our eyes open or we're going to go with our eyes shut and just hope for the best. Because that loneliness comes in with going with your eyes shut and hoping for the best because maybe you were cheated on. And because you were cheated on, you felt unattractive. You felt not worth it. You felt that no man deserves you or you're worth nothing. And then here comes Usane into your life or Lomdo. And then they show that little interest in you and you going there because he's giving you that attention that you lacked throughout.
And that's where the danger is. The takeaway here is just be consciously aware and just not be hectically obsessed or be desperate rather.
But how do you reel yourself in? At which points do you reel yourself in? Because that's my struggle. I am a person, I'm a lover.
Yeah.
I love Jonga. Mamela, there's that video, guys, DJ Zinhle, where she says, "Nda girlfriend." Mamela, I girlfriend Mnashem. Because I go there open-hearted, I trust, and you abuse my trust, it's your thing. It's on you. I have that thing. But how do I go back to reeling myself? Zoe?
Do an introspection. I literally tell people this. Introspect. Like, do a check-in with yourself. Like, literally sit down and be like, in this past month, it's not about it. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, no, but you're counting, wada, because energies don't, pockets don't match. No. Do an introspection and ask yourself, the things that I'm currently doing, does this person meet me at least halfway in the process? Because if you find that you are not being met in any way, Puma, get out. And the reason I'm saying that is because you cannot continue to put yourself there and be a sacrificial lamb for somebody who's going to take the leg of that lamb and leave you unstable.
I used to have this thing where I would sporadically, just out of nowhere, I would ask, like, say 5 things you love about me. And they mustn't be physical things. Let it not be my looks, deep things that you love about me. What has you interested in me? And with asking that question listen, we could be eating, we could be just having a joke or whatever, but that question and asking it at surprising a person with that question, because now they need to think, and you don't ask them about the physical I don't want to know about the physical attraction. I know I'm beautiful. I know you love my butt. I know you love my breasts. I know, like, you're going to tell me these things that I know that 10 other people probably like. But what is it about me in the period that you've known me that makes you want to stay, that makes you want to give me more, that builds this connection that we have? And I'll also ask, what are things that you don't like about me? What are things that I can work on? And I'll tell you the same, because with that 5 questions, which may come as a joke, or it's like casual, but it opens up more conversation and more understanding in the person's way of thinking and what it is that their intentions. And it's always good to ask a person and check in with the intentions. Like, what is your intention with me? In the first meetup, no, I want to get to know you. I like you. No. 3 months down the line, you've gotten to know me.
Like, who's it?
What's cooking? What are we doing? Because that is where the red flags will pop up. And that is where you will see, but also have a plan for yourself. As the lonely person that you are, have a plan of what it is that you want from a man, what are the characteristics that you want from this partner, and where are you wanting to go with the relationship. And that will give you the tick of, okay, we've done this. Okay, we're here.
Yeah.
Okay. And let it not be 10 dates. Let it not be things that are miscellaneous that really don't matter and materialistic. Let it be life goals. Because if you are lonely, that person isn't just giving you entertainment. There's a deeper thing. It's not because you're not lonely because you've got no one to talk to or you've got nothing to do. You're lonely because there's an emptiness, there's a void. So that person needs to work towards closing that void. But you know how best that person would be able to close that void.
All I'm just going to tell people is just be cognizant of the energy that you put in and make sure that it reflects and it is the energy that is being returned. Because a lot of people, what they do is that they put so much of themselves and then they come at a point whereby they start to regret or feel some type of way. So make sure that whatever you're putting in, you're also getting an output of as well. Because you don't want to be in a situation rather whereby now you're feeling some type of way because I've been doing A, B, C, D, and E. Because it's a natural human thing to actually be like, I've put so much of myself and I put so much of myself forward for something, that whatever. But also do that knowing full well that whatever you put in, don't have that expectation of a return. Because remember, we communicate differently, we love differently, we do
100%.
things differently. Alignment is very key. That will be my last thing. Make sure that the person that you're going to take a step forward with and being in that relationship with, in that talking phase, you're starting to see where the key alignment areas are. And you align yourselves and you move forward. Because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you are operating on parallel lines here. And parallel lines never meet. There you are. You're like, oh, my favorite color is this. And what are all those cute puppy love things? And then what about your parenting styles? Those people don't have those conversations. What about your parenting styles? What about, your family upbringing? What those, like, your values, your morals, all of those things, like what you hold dear to. You can literally have the same interest in music, but that same interest in music doesn't determine who he is as a person. That's what I'm saying. When it comes to alignment, because a lot of people think that alignment is like, oh, we like the same sets of things. That is cute. It's a nice to have. But the deeper things are about the person that you are, which a lot of people never do that deep dive to getting into know the person.
Their ethics, their values, their principles. We're talking about that. Nabo nandi with freaking rapists and murderers, instead of, what do you stand for as a person?
Exactly.
What do you stand for? Because it's nice at the start of a relationship, but those things matter when you have to make decisions.
Okay.
Decisions
that will impact
children. Exactly.
And
then what?
Okay. And this in my in my dating kind of thing, because I'm in a dating phase. And when I say dating phase, I'm talking about I'm not actively in a relationship with someone, but I am navigating and speaking to people.
Yeah.
Okay. There's 6 of them, right?
Okay.
And the one thing that I've realized is that each individual, we are both at a desperation phase in our lives.
Yeah.
Okay. We've looked at our age, number 1, and number 2, what is happening around us in our immediate environment and circles. So I'm gonna give you a
Give
gist.
profiles.
Number 1, divorcee.
Okay.
2 kids, your colleagues. Every time you meet up, everybody's with their family and their kids and
God,
whatever,
yeah.
and you're going there by yourself. Okay, desperation.
So you're that uncle that's only
Yeah.
bachelor of the families.
Number 2, right? Was engaged, what, didn't work out, doesn't have a kid or anything like that. Starting to feel it because even then, when you gather with friends, you're the single person in the group, right? Number 3, right? Has a kid, right? Realizes that my friends now are all getting married or are settling down, and here I am, and the only thing I have is bad relationship traumas, right? But I'm feeling lonely because I want to feel, I want to feel
that
loved.
family
I want that
element.
family
Yes.
unit. I want to settle down. I want to get a wife. To prove that number 3 is so unrealistic, his timeline to get married is next year.
What?
We're in April. Homie wants to get married next year.
Okay, so
Number 4, relationships don't last purely because he's always busy because of work. Okay, so he's never gotten into a thing whereby he has an understanding where the girls understand that he's got a job to do, so he's not going to be as easily available as they want them to be. Single, cool. Very love and hip hop gay relationships like net drama.
okay.
Number 5, right? Yeah, because it's like 6.
And the list goes on.
Number 5, left the country, working overseas, because could not stand the fact that I continue to attract party animals or people that want to go out and never want to sit down and spend time with me. As a result, now they realize, oh damn, I'm above 35. I obviously need a little bit of stability, so I'm making enough money so that by the time I reach that point of stability, I've got enough foreign currency to exchange into rands so that I can do the things that need to be done at a very quicker rate.
Okay.
And settle down. Number 6,
headache.
living best life, but in living the best life, kind of like wants to settle down, but doesn't know how to settle down, but feels lonely every time you're the third wheeler in every friend situation.
Oh gosh.
And this is what I've realized with myself. All 6 of these men that I'm speaking to, right? I'm speaking to all 6 of them because I attracted them during my bout of loneliness. So when I was living my best life, I didn't care for a talking stage. I didn't care, to have an interaction or to have someone who's going to send me a good morning text or somebody who's going to check up on me to find out how I'm doing. I didn't care for that.
Yeah.
And when they all came in, because they all came flooding in, like relatively in, it ran about the same space. And when they all came in, I was like, oh, it's so nice to have, these group of people giving me attention at different time rates. But now I'm realizing for myself personally that it is through that loneliness part of mine that I accepted everything that all 6 of them were giving me. And now I'm pulling myself up because I am realizing that these individual people
Don't
and the things that they offer, it's not what I want.
100%, because it's subpar.
It's not what I want.
Subpar.
I'm settling in my talking stages. I am not vocalizing the things that I would usually vocalize and be like, it doesn't sit well with me, your lack of communication or the inconsistencies or this and this and that.
Or even the unrealistic
what I'm
timeline
saying?
to get married. Why are we feeling pressured?
And why am I going along? Because another thing that I realized, I was like, hey, you're going along with too much shit.
Yeah.
You are not pulling yourself back and reassessing what it is that you want. Now you're forming part and parcel of what that person wants and you're just moving along with it.
Gosh.
Now I was like, no, Sanelisiwe, take a seat back. Introspect and reflect on these 6 people and see, and which is why it's a game of survivor. Now, when I vocalized, even themselves, they started pulling back.
Because they can't handle
it's not that puppy love
and it
phase
wasn't
type
part
of
of
thing.
that. They can't handle it.
Now I'm like, I'm sorry, you're a good person, but these are the personality traits that I picked up about you that I cannot continue to move forward in this getting to know each other phase. And the one was like, I can do better. And I was like, you can't do better because this is who you are as a person. Then the other one is like, I sky, and I was like, oh, this one made it easy, But I'm realizing that bout of loneliness for me
opened you to a can of worms.
To a can of worms that I almost found myself fully in and juggling all these men. But I realized that cannot be my life.
And none of them were of your standard in any case from the beginning. I also, I'm spiritual and religious in a way that I have this thing where whether you meditate, whatever you believe in, if it's your ancestors, if it's whatever you believe in, pray or speak to the higher power that you believe in and tell them this is the partner that I want. I've gotten to a point where I prayed and I said, listen here, it's about time now. Mr. G, just do something. I want a man who is
A, B, C, D, and E.
You know what I mean? I listed all the attributes that I want, but I also realized that with me listing the attributes that I want and me putting it out there and manifesting it, but there are certain things, qualities that I need to have as well in order to meet that person. And then I said, okay, if I want a man who has leadership, who's going to be a provider, please, God, help me be able to relinquish power.
Okay.
Because it's something that I struggle with. You know what I mean?
And that's
so that when I do meet that man who is a provider, who is a leader, who is macho, you understand, I must be ready to be that woman who is going to be set out for that man. Exactly. You know what I mean? And I also said, let it not be my will. I have this thing, let it be you, because if I'm choosing this man for me, I'll choose Ellie willy-nilly. I will choose willy-nilly.
And not the person that you have
in mind, because I'm lonely.
Okay.
I want this. Listen here, I'm at a point where I want to, let's go to the meet me at the altar type of vibes. Do you understand? So now I'll marry him anytime. But with praying for him or manifesting it and putting it out there that these are the qualities that I want, this is what I'm looking for, and talking to my friends, like, I believe that your tongue
has power.
And now that I feel I cannot be 100% sure that this person is, but we're working towards it. But I also have check-ins with my friends, because I could be, Jonga, in a love bubble. And they are the ones who know me very well. And
we're going to tell you the truth.
Hey, Mamela, show me.
But this is very red
this
flaggy.
Is red flaggy.
This is giving Tabo Besta energy.
You see what I mean?
Mamela, it's giving.
There are people who know you. There are people who know you and know where you've been.
Exactly.
And where you plan to be. They can give you some guidance, and I understand because our Twitch is no more and all those things, but there are people who truly love and care for you, and they will be able to give you to spot those signs that you're not willing to look at, even though you know them and you see them, but you're not at the point where you want to acknowledge them, and they will be the ones saying, "Mamela Chom, Jongapa." Look at that and look at that. So be able to talk about some of the challenges that you face in your relationship with your close friend or with a person that you trust, who will be able to raise some red flags that you might not be willing to take on at that time. Because you need someone who's going to be sober-minded. You need a sounding board. You need that check-in, because even when we do our own introspectives, we're not always 100% honest with each other.
Because it comes from my voice.
Jonga.
And my voice is going to sound me dreams. My voice is like, in fact, you are Beyonce today. Exactly. That time, I'm not giving Beyonce.
You know what I mean? So even when we do our check-ins, we make excuses in our check-ins, but no, you know what? This month, this didn't happen. And he was like this because I did this. You know what I mean?
Some friend, and but then you know at that point in time you are the one that's wrong in acrimony.
Exactly. So you need to surround yourself, because especially if you are a lonely person, because you lack judgment, you lack a clear head. You need those friends or family or that person who's going to be able to be that little light for you.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to be in your feelings and then have to take yourself out of your feelings and look at the bird's eye view of things. It's hard.
Because your feelings are dragging you
anyway,
down.
That hard.
It's a mess.
It's a mess, and it will mislead you at times.
So, the long and short of it, introspect, check in, and align.
Yeah.
Introspect with yourself, introspect with your circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
definitely.
Your circle will never mislead you.
Yeah, and you know what advice to take from who?
Exactly.
Like,
you know.
It's not like you're going to tell someone who you know doesn't like you being in a relationship, always having something else negative to say.
But if you do not have a solid circle, reach out to us as well. We're going to guide you.
We're going through the most ourselves.
We're going to guide you in Amgoa as well. We're going to help you navigate on your end as well. That's the first thing. Number 2, alignment is very, very key. A car cannot move if the wheels are not aligned.
True.
You cannot move forward in your journey through life if you are not aligned. You cannot move forward even in a relationship with somebody if you are not aligned either. So alignment is very, very key.
And don't go into a relationship while you're still desperate. I feel like
do you know the danger is?
Yeah, okay. It's the same thing as going to any traditional healer or even the genies and all that stuff. When you're desperate, don't do it. Don't do it because they can tell you what you want to hear. You know, it's not what the truth may be. So I would rather stay clear, entertain yourself, find hobbies, find things to do, read a book, write. Work on that loneliness and that desperation that you might have. And then once you're out of that low vibes, you can now go into and put yourself back into dating.
Anyways, that's it, guys, because Sana, we'll dwanguz here.
And we're dwanguzing. But anyway.
Have a lovely weekend or whatever the case may be.
Criminal record wethu mbuze, checkani guys, investigate your own people's, find out about him because those are solid dreams. It's going to best up.
You were to pandani. And I don't mean panda as in go and commit a crime. I mean panda as in investigate. Every female has that investigator gadget in them.
And trust your sixth sense. Trust your guts, guys.
Listen, when your ancestors like puma up or get out, don't think that your ancestors are hating just because they're underground gang.
But from us, we've had a good one. I think this was one of those. But hey, my friend.
Sorry.
Like I didn't mean to. Me there. I was not willing to go to that space.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. To everybody that's listening, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do this to you guys. But I just didn't want to be alone in this journey.
Gosh, you took me there. Anyway, from me, Ozotite, it's love and light.
And for me, Mama Action. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.